Hello, and welcome to our fleet inspection, where we'll be fighting 12 Ordos with a Derelict ops and automated ships build with these skills right here, and a fleet of 6 Onslaughts, 10 Fulgents, and a single command shuttle kite that will be used for capping points, and it will be boosting my command points recovery, which will be very useful. We will be microing Fulgents a lot. This build and challenge has been heavily inspired by Vanshillar's 10 Ordos in 1015 seconds build. I recommend checking out his video and thread if you have the time. The Onslaught needs no introduction, you already know how good it is. It has excellent armor and hull, tons of weapons, Hornets points, surprisingly good flux stats, especially flux caps, so you can boost its shield's efficiency to like pretty good level. For the weapons on the Onslaught, we'll be using no point defense weapons whatsoever. Our point defense needs will be handled by Omni Shields and the other ship in the fleet. Of our weapons, we'll be using quad coils for high explosive. Compared to other large ballistic high explosive weapons, it's somewhere in between Hellbores and Hephaestus assault guns. Basically think of it as almost 3 heavy maulers duct taped together. It shoots a burst of 8 projectiles dealing 200 HE damage each in a 5-second burst. It will strip almost all armor instantly in one burst in an area. Its anti-hull is decent, perfectly accurate. Another reason to put actual weapons in your large slots instead of Devastators. Look at the weapon angles. Even if you slightly tilt it, while it doesn't overlap on the front, you can slightly tilt the Onslaught on the side and it can shoot both of its large mounts, as well as most of its mediums and smalls, which is excellent. Basically, almost complete like 270-degree coverage. Unless like a ship manages to get right behind it, it can shoot at least half of its guns. Then we have heavy mass drivers. This weapon is amazing. Its only downside is that it's expensive and has pretty slow turn rate. That's why we have advanced rotary gyros, among other reasons, the damage buff. It has very good hit strength for a kinetic weapon. It does 200 kinetic damage per hit. This is actually very good versus stripped armor and hull, especially versus frigates and destroyers. You will see over the course of the battle, heavy mass drivers will do pretty significant amount of hull damage. And then we have filler light autocannons. They are very cheap, very efficient for what they do. What this allows me is to fill the bottom side mediums and all the other small slots with light autocannons, and I have tons of OP to spare. We can max out our flux stats and get several beneficial hull mods that will be very useful. We're running no missiles whatsoever. This is because I found that the infinite ammo missiles just don't have enough game impact. I've tried with Pilums and they deal very disappointing damage over the course of the fight. Sometimes they bait out overloads, which is very nice. Other times they are just not very useful. Salamanders get shot down by paladins and burst PD, completely useless in this case. That's it for the Onslaught. Moving on. The other ship in our fleet is the Fulgent. We have 10 of them. An excellent destroyer that got very big buffs this patch. These are its base stats. And here's a quick recap of its strengths and weaknesses. Compared to other meta destroyers, it is the cheapest one in terms of DP at 10. It has very good flux stats, 400 dissipation, very good. Excellent shield, 0.6, typical high tech. Good hull, good weapons, great system, a high energy focus, insane damage for size. Average speed of 85, which is a bit on the low side. But elite helmsman, escort, and if you pick it, coordinated maneuvers can boost it up pretty significantly because it's an automated ship. AI cores don't count as officers, but still get buff Wolfpack and coordinated maneuvers and get all elite skills, which is very important here. Another major benefit it has over other energy destroyers is its unique hull mod, Energy Bolt Cohere. It gains 200 base range on projectile energy weapons, which is incredible, especially when you pair it up with range boosting mods, escort package, and gunnery implants. It has uncontested best range out of any high-tech destroyer, even beats out ballistic destroyers. Weapon of choice in the Fulgents is Rift Lightning. We'll be using 3 of them on every ship. You can get it by grinding dwellers. You use their special drop sharded substrate to craft it. It has excellent per shot damage. It's a hit scan with perfect accuracy, can fire over allies, and has an area of effect similar to phase mines. It's also a point defense weapon and gets buffs from point defense skill, that being plus 200 range flat, and the big buff versus fighters and missiles, 50% more damage. It allows it to one-shot almost every fighter in the game, 2-shot if it's a shielded fighter that the remnants are running. The area effect is useful for hitting groups of fighters and missiles, or hitting a ship and also hitting missiles and pirates nearby. Really just excellent weapon. Unfortunately, it is a bit bugged. First off, its EMP damage doesn't exist. It says it does 1000 EMP damage per hit, it actually doesn't. Because of a bug, it does less damage on cruisers and battleships. It will do significantly reduced damage, so it's artificially a lot better versus frigates and destroyers and a lot worse versus cruisers and battleships. This is going to get fixed next patch, so expect it to get even better. Next up is formations. The way you're going to think of this setup as spikes, everything in the front 150 degrees is going to melt away and just get pinged non-stop by your long-range builds, and you want to make sure always, all the time, that your ships cover each other and they always have backup of onslaughts in the front, always, with Fulgents as either second line backup units or on the flanks, or using them as an emergency unit to throw at any flank that struggles. Now, with this build, your typical formation is going to be a flat line with onslaughts assembled with either Rally Task Force for some roam range or using Rally Civilian Craft to lock them in a specific position. One is static, one is a little bit dynamic. You want them to be perpendicular to the enemy deployment, and also every ship should be at about the same distance from the enemy, or if that's not possible, have an oval formation, so the side ships are a little bit further away, the center ships are further in. Why? Because when your side ships start taking fire or taking aggro, you can use your center ships to push in and then slowly push enemy back. Your center ships move, then your side ships, then alternate between pushing with your side ships and your central line. If any of your ships start sticking out from the line, they will get disproportionately focused by enemies to the point where they will only aggro on that ship, and our build with 50,000 shield HP can't really tank a whole lot of burst damage because it's also flux heavy. Do avoid having one or two of your ships take all the enemy aggro, try to spread the damage out. You can set up an interesting formation where Fulgents, you make gaps between the onslaughts with Rally Civilian, and then issue Rally Strike Group with Fulgents, allowing them to go back and forth. This will cause them to go forwards, eat a little bit of damage, distract the enemy, and then pull back when the flux is high. Bear in mind, what can happen is the onslaughts move close between each other without Rally Civ, and they can block the Fulgents from retreating. That's a big problem. It's one of the main ways the Fulgents can die. They get stuck in pathing, so watch out for that. You absolutely have to micro them, they're suicidal. Either check them with Rally Civ or very carefully measure how much they can roam in the Rally Strike Group. There's no other way around it. You have to micro this destroyer. It just acts in really weird ways.